Major news of the week. OSCE and Central Election Commission held information session on elections for executive heads. Independence of Azerbaijani courts under question. Azerbaijani International University students promise protest meetings. Project on information gathering in Nakhchivan underway. Flood problems still unresolved. Preliminary hearing on Inula Fatulayev's lawsuit against prosecutor office held. Signature collection launched regarding human rights and freedom of expression in southern Azerbaijan.
On the 20th of September, in the Landmark Business Center, OSCE Baku office and the Central Election Commission conducted an information session on illegal intervention during the election process for the region's head executives and election constituency heads. The executive heads of Baku and surrounding cities and districts attended the session. The fundamental principles of democratic elections, prevention of illegal intervention, duties of executive agencies during the elections, and independence of electoral commissions and their commitments were discussed during the session. Information sessions will continue in Shirvan on September 21st, in Mingechevir on September 22nd, and in Nakhchivan on September 24th. Head of the OSCE Baku office, Ali Bilge Jangarel, said that despite technical progress in elections, illegal intervention was observed during the elections, including the last municipal elections in Azerbaijan. These cases are not a lot. However, in the last elections, an executive administration head and heads of election commissions were dismissed from their duty for illegal intervention, he said. Jankarel also emphasized the need to ensure freedom of assembly for everyone. The Presidential Administration's Socio-Political Department head, Ali Hazanov, recommended that the executive heads ensure normal operation of all the local agencies during the election process, secure order, create conditions for voters to vote freely, and ensure equal conditions for candidates to campaign. The main role of local executive administrations is to create free election environment, noted Ali Hazanov. CEC Chairman Mezahir Panahov called on local authorities to abide by the law and not to interfere in elections. Azerbaijan's interest stands higher than the interests of any other group or person. All the executive agencies must abide by the law. Azerbaijan is a country open to the world. Any event happening, even in the suburbs of the country, is delivered to all the world within a couple of minutes. No intentional or unintentional step against Azerbaijan's interests must be taken. The election commissions and other state agencies, as well as the media, must take all measures to prevent any illegal actions. I have repeatedly stated that there were no serious law violations, but when it happens, we take adequate measures. The investigations prepared by the Assistance Program for Analytic Groups were introduced at the Hotel Europe on September 21st, with financial support from the Open Society Institute Assistance Foundation. The first investigation was presented by the Azerbaijani Lawyers Association on the situation in the Court of Justice and access to courts. The investigations revealed that there are multiple problems with the citizens' appeal process to the courts in Azerbaijan. Independent judiciary power is nearly absent in Azerbaijan. The courts are under control of executive power. The courts usually rule against lawsuits concerning political affairs or freedom of assembly, and favor executive administrations, influential persons, as well as those who have taken land from citizens citing state interest, said Anagi Hajibayalev, head of the Azerbaijani Lawyers Association. Court bribery, corruption cases, the state of military courts, the establishment of specialized courts, the effectiveness of legal consultation, and the establishment of a team of judges consisting of professional lawyers and psychologists were discussed during the event. A group of students from the Azerbaijan International University, which is no longer in operation, held a news conference in the press center of the Institute for Reporters' Freedom and Safety on September 21st. The chairman of Defense Committee for Students' Rights, Elvin Dadashov, said that the students who graduated this year were denied their diplomas. The Educational Ministry claimed that their admission to the university was illegal. Despite a promise from the Educational Ministry, some of the international university students were not transferred to other universities due to legality issues. Dadashov demanded that the ministry transfer the students to other universities and award diplomas to the graduates. He said that mass meetings will be held as students struggle for their rights. If the local courts do not rule in the students' favor, the committee will appeal to the European Court of Human Rights. The president of the Students' International Cooperation Organization, Elnur Mammadov, his lawyer Aslan Ismailov, and others attended the event. On September 1, 2010, Monsieur Mamdanov, the Minister of Education, signed an order that mandated the closure of the Azerbaijan International University due to serious law violations. We want to tell the Education Minister that we are not less important than other students. We can go on a hunger strike. We will not stop struggling, and we will not refrain from going on a hunger strike or appealing to the European Court. A presentation of the Journalistic Initiatives on Information Gathering in Nakhchivan project was held in the Press Center of the Institute for Reporters' Freedom and Safety on September 23rd. Project coordinator Rasul Jafarov said that the project, worth $2,500 USD, is financed by Open Society Institute Assistance Foundation and will span from September through October. A preliminary and final report will be printed. According to Jafarov, only 5 of 45 state agencies in Nakhchivan have websites: the Ministry of Communications and Information Technologies, the Nakhchivan Office of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Employment Service of the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, the Supreme Court, and the Central Election Commission of the Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic. But there is no useful information for citizens or journalists. Inquiries are sent to most of the state agencies, but no response is given, said Jafarov. He didn't rule out submitting a lawsuit to the court regarding the violation of the right to obtain information. According to the second clause of the law on information gathering, a citizen has the right to obtain information freely in Azerbaijan. However, this clause has been violated in Nakhchivan. Therefore, the project aims to explain to the state agencies that citizens and journalists have the right to obtain or request information from them, noted the project makers. They recommended that the state agencies create internet resources, improve current resources, and hold a special event with the civil society representatives about information gathering. The main goals are to ensure that the citizens as well as the journalists have access to information and to improve the overall situation.
The Kurs Civil Society Organization held a roundtable on flood recovery on September 23rd at the Institute for Reporters' Freedom and Safety. Coordinator Agtay Gulialev suggested filing a lawsuit against the Cabinet of Ministers for not replying to his inquiry on the floods. The inquiry included questions about how compensations were calculated and whether they were adequate. The Prime Minister and Chairman of State Commission for Flood Recovery, Artur Rashid-Zada, did not reply to the inquiry. In addition, Gulialev emphasized the importance of organizing residents suffering from flood damages so they could fight for their rights more efficiently. He also stressed that residents of Gasimbayle, Askarbayle, Ulakali, and other villages should be much more interested in protecting their rights. They also discussed transferring Satlis Nizrullah to another place. The village residents opposed this, but the region's executive head said that the village will be transferred anyway. The attendees called on all sufferers to support Nizrullah residents. The residents also noted that workers stopped construction on 23 new houses in Sabirabad's Kanketchen village because of low payments.
Sabail District Court held a preliminary hearing on the imprisoned journalist Danila Fatuleyev's lawsuit against the Baku City Prosecutor's Office on the 23rd of September. The hearing was presided over by Judge Elnur Hazanov. The plaintiff Fatuleyev and an officer of the Baku City Prosecutor's Office's Public Relations Department, Ramiz Razayev, representing the defendant, attended the hearing. Before considering the case, the judge offered a settlement to both sides. Batuleyev said he would withdraw his lawsuit if the Baku City Prosecutor's Office officially confirmed violation of his presumption of innocence. But Razayev, representing the defendant, rejected the proposal. The judge scheduled the court hearing for 3:30 p.m. on the 7th of September. The Baku City Prosecutor's Office released information on the 2nd of February 2010 stating that Batuleyev was a drug user. Batuleyev filed a lawsuit claiming that the dissemination of such information was in violation of the European Human Rights Article 6, Clause 2, Criminal and Procedural Code Article 21, Azerbaijani Constitution Article 63. He demands that the Baku City Prosecutor's Office apologize for releasing said information without any supporting court evidence and for inciting a negative public opinion. He also requested that the judge pass a ruling requesting that the Baku City Prosecutor's Office pay 1 manat to the Garadag District Court's Judge Ismail Khalilov in compensation for violating his right to presumption of innocence. In 2007, Batuleyev, editor-in-chief of Relani Azerbaijan and Gündelik Azerbaijan newspapers, was sentenced to 8.5 years in jail for threatening terror and other accusations. However, the European Court on Human Rights issued a decision of his being innocent and for his immediate release. This brings shame to the Republic. It must be ended, and I am expecting the President to put an end to this problem. I am waiting for this to happen. The Azerbaijani government has been refusing to execute this decision. Batuleyev was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison by Judge Ismail Khalilov of the Garadag District Court on July 6, 2010. The court charged the journalist with storing without the intent to sell narcotics or psychotropic substances that exceeded the limit for personal consumption. The journalist appealed against the decision. The United Azerbaijan Youth Organization held discussions in the press center of the Institute for Reporters' Freedom and Safety on September 23rd regarding the appeal to the UN Human Rights Commission on Human Rights and Freedom of Expression in southern Azerbaijan. Azerbaijani parliamentarians Panah Hussein and Nasib Nasibli, along with representatives of multiple organizations operating in southern Azerbaijan and the Republic of Azerbaijan, attended the discussions. The appeal says that tens of thousands of local Azerbaijani Turks are facing discrimination after the fall of the Tehran regime. They are deprived of opening schools and studying in their native language. We request the UN Human Rights Commission to exert necessary influence on the Iran Islamic Republic to ensure that Azerbaijanis in Iran can study in their native language, establish multi-stage secondary and university education systems, and make them accessible, notes the document.